Hey guys, and welcome back to Nari's first ever offline panel discussion. I'm so happy that Orietta and Daniela could join us today. I couldn't think of two better people to put together for this discussion. Uh, there's so much to say about the both of them, but I'm going to keep my intro short and then let you learn more about them through the conversation that we have. Orietta Pelizari is a cultural catalyst, co-founder of Matori Studio. She not only predicts trends, but tells us why consumers behave the way they do. She has worked all across the world, and I feel I can go on with her intro for another one hour, but there's so much to say about her. Then we have Daniela Russo, who's the founder of Meteor Tropical. She's worked over 2 decades in the fashion industry with Bali, with Wolford, leading the omni-channel communication strategies, and we're just so happy to have you both here. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for the invitation.
And yeah, let's begin.
Let's begin. So I think one thing which has been all of our minds is it's more like a trend nowadays about how earlier people used to look more at the label. They used to look more at the brand, the name, where it's coming from, every product. But now people, I think they are moving more towards silent luxury or this idea of quiet luxury. They do not look more towards the name, the label, but rather the story, the craft, the narrative which that product holds. So, what do you think? Is this just a trend? Or is this here to stay?
You start.
I start with this beautiful microphone. First of all, thank you for inviting me. I'm really happy and I love to have these beautiful people all around and to be surrounded by beautiful products. Let me say beautiful artistic products. And these are taken to me. I'm here now. I'm not looking for a label. I'm looking for a product. I'm looking for an item. I'm looking for an artistic pieces. So I think in my career, it was an up and down, up and down. So when I was a teenager, I was going around with Emporio Armani, Moncler, what else? It was, I don't tell you how many years ago. And then things went up and down, and we had this period that was completely fusion, calm, just meditation, and what else. Then we came back with luxury, with brands, and now we are coming back to quiet luxury. So I think it's a cycle. But I think the question is going to stay? I think yes, but I will tell you later.
Okay. It's a suspense then.
It's a suspense. We'll find out.
I think that more and more, as this moment that probably Orietta is planning to explain deeply in details later on about the fashion industry, I think that people are needing to connect with the piece, with the mindset of having. We don't have as much money as we used to have. In general, we are in a moment of political and social crisis, that people are more conscious on their investment. And I believe that there is a conscience in general, not just about the aesthetics, but also what we do with the money we are, with all these discussions about how much the workers are being paid, with what they are producing. So this is opening the eyes of the consumers to look more behind the scenes, what is going on, and connecting more with the artisans that are producing these products.
Another thing that I feel like is happening a lot now is founder-led communication or marketing, especially in terms when we speak of emerging brands, because I feel that's a good way that the brand gets an identity quickly because you associate it with a person. But when we speak for legacy brands, I think it's harder to just be there's this one person and that's why the brand is where it is. You know, the creative directors keep changing, the board members keep changing. So how do you think sort of legacy brands adapt to this change in communication where you're being more transparent about everything? I feel when you're starting out a brand, it's much easier to be super direct.
Complicated question, because you cannot compare a young, independent, new designer with a corporate. I think most of the time, young designer thinks to be, do you want to become that brand? But that brand is a corporate right now. It's a completely different standard. It's not a competition. It's a completely different things. This is my opinion. Of course, I'm Italian. I'm coming from a country where what is now is considered a super famous luxury brand. At the beginning was one person that in the family, they started to do knitting, to do jacket, to do jewelries. So at that point, there was a person making, selling, going abroad, bringing the collection everywhere in the world. So at that time, there was a face beyond the desk. Now I think the face is needed. The corporate are using another face. They use culture, they use artists, they use so many different aspects, of course, but we cannot pretend that beyond the corporate you have one person. But I can say that we have a sign, which is very interesting. Finally, this corporate are showing their team. Finally, they are putting together, they are saying, hey, we are in this team, and in this team, this person is doing this person is doing that. So now the brand is made by people. Yes. That, in my opinion, it's good to see. Your opinion.
Yeah, no, for sure. The big companies are led by numbers. So they will never, obviously, following the trends and algorithm, because everybody now is, the Instagram is changing a lot the industry. And not necessarily is because what the consumers want to see, but it's what algorithms and TikTok and like, this is not fashion, and not necessarily what is being shown there is like the workers are not with the nails all done and dressed beautifully, the videos of a lot of craftsmanship are not the real day-to-day workers. But for sure, there is this space for new designers to develop and to show. But I believe that it's not just about humanizing the designer per se, but also the community, no? So they have a cause, they have something that they believe, or, for example, the designers from Colombia with these beautiful bags, no? They have a story, they have this craftsmanship that comes from this specific region. Is amazing because on the labels, there is the region specified, no? It's very important. For example, in Brazil, they talk about the original people works, no? No, this is from original people from Brazil works. Brazil is like a continent, it's giant. So there are like 6,000 different groups of original people from Brazil, each one with a different craftsmanship. So it's very important that we maintain and we communicate all of this, because this is the richness of each one of these products. And I'm happy that the emerging designers are evolving on this, and the big brands are starting to explore a little bit and included this on their collections. But for sure, the big companies cannot have a deep dive inside this world, because they need to do quantities and big numbers. It's a different field.
I completely agree with what you said. When you said about how the artisans' names and stuff are mentioned, one of the reasons I think also when we were thinking of starting Nari was the fact that a lot of brands just use artisanal made. But then again, you never know who it is. A lot of brands are using artisanal made, but I don't know who exactly the person is. So really being specific about that, I think, is also so important. And it shows you're like actually authentic to your brand.
I think the same, like the unseen is being seen more, and it still has a long way to go. But I think because people are valuing authenticity more, it's so nice to see the process, the industry, even though it's not perfect. It's so nice to see the people who were behind it in their homes, in their everyday situation. That's how you get to know the real face of the product and the brand. This takes me to the next question, which was a conversation that we were earlier talking about made in labels, about how products are made in Italy or made in India, made in Japan. But people don't really know where it's coming from because production does not happen in just one country. So how do also brands are really using the side of craft as a face to, like, in a way, craft washing, to justify also price hikes in products. So how do consumers really judge authenticity in this case? How do I know if this product was made in Italy? Where is it coming from? How can I be the judge of that?
I think perché sempre io? Why always me?
Alla prossima comincio io.
This is the topic, of course. This is the topic, but you have to think about this. We don't have only made in Italy. We have many made in. So if I wanna have made in Japan, made in LA, made in India, made in China also, made in South Africa, I think everything depends in how that country build up the reputation of the made in. So many years ago, let me say many, before COVID, country were not caring about this. Country, I mean those countries that now are just complaining because we don't appreciate, we don't respect them. What else? They were not considering this. But in other, they was really going and focusing and highlighting these types of things, because even we talk about made in Brazil, made in Mexico, made in USA as well, and now it's disappeared. But it was, because I remember at 20 years old, I was going to LA to buy denim. I was going to buy denim there, and was the 100% American denim. And for me as Italian was, wow, I can have this cotton. And still now my husband say, oh, look at this. This is American. Do you remember we both 30 years ago? Wow. So let me say that the topic is not, is important, is not important. It's important in the moment you highlight the capability of that person. So everybody knows that in India are super amazing in embroidering, in leather, in this and that. It's because it's the culture. So put this as an highlight. So it's a story. In Italy, always been like this because we grow with this blood. So if you are from Biella, you must know knitwear. You must know wool. You cannot survive like that. So it is injected in your brain. I'm from Lake Como. Silk is in my blood because all my relatives worked in silk. So again, I think rather than complain, marketing people has to be more like support that made in. But I think now we are going in a generation where made in, it's really an identity that every country can keep it. Of course, we need to work. No idea.
I super agree with everything you said. I just wanted to add, I think that, again, it's all about education. For example, in India, you have amazing craftsmanship, and most of the brands in Europe use a lot of embroidery.
Yes, exactly.
Intrecciato, we were saying, what's the name in English?
Weavings.
Yeah. And they bring it here, for example, or to France or to Spain, and close the shoes, for example, with this technique, put the sole, and is made in Italy. Because it's not 100%, as we were discussing before, it's not 100% that needs to be handmade in that country to be, or the material, everything can come from other countries and be done here. But I think that the design was from here. So it's genuine that it's made in Italy because the design was here. I think that we can educate also the consumer saying that, okay, it's not because there is not made in India in the soul of the shoe that is less appreciated the handwork of the Indian. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
no,
it's not that
exactly,
it's not that
exactly.
important. You can be transparent, and I think that this is evolution of the industry. I think that the consumer is asking for this, so maybe in the future, but I don't feel that there is a prejudice
Right.
about it. I think that is more about education, about the whole step of the production. Also, can be you can pay even more because you say how many people from different places work on that product. So I don't feel a resistance. I feel that just is an educational process that we are going across, and maybe with the globalization, that is also a very old term. We can start to explore more and explain more to the final consumer.
That's a really nice perspective.
Because I feel like before, maybe the consumers also didn't demand it as much. Maybe us as the younger generation, it's like, I want to know exactly where this was made and I want to know what I'm buying into. But it's kind of contradictory because you have people on two sides. One, because our generation is led so much by TikTok and Instagram. And so much of it is, okay, I find a brand. I'm also guilty. I like see a brand. I'm like, okay, this looks cool just because like 10 other people have it and have recommended it to me. Let me buy it. But I feel like because we have so many options today, how do I know that I'm like making the right choice or I properly like know the brand that I'm buying from? Because I feel like this is such a dilemma because you have people on both sides of the coin.
If you want to add something, yes, of course, this is true. We need also to appreciate this. But people, let me say, consumer until now, they were not asking this. So the Made in Italy label has a type of reputation for those people that are looking for a certain quality. But now we have a consumer that don't consider quality what an Italian consider quality. So I think this is another topic. What is quality? Is it durability? Is it upcycling? Is it circularity? Is the fact that it's functional? So I think this is very personal right now. And this is most of my job is to explain to buyer team and why this product costs like this. It's very important, this. Otherwise, and everything, it's a matter of quality, it's a matter of perception. And when I said that no label is going to stay, because this is true. Now we don't care maybe so much about the name, but we care about the story around this brand. And this is going to stay because fashion is lifestyle. Fashion exists because exists culture. See, still until when we have freedom to express creativity, fashion will stay. But of course, fashion is business. You are in Milan. And if you don't make money, you cannot get inside of fashion. So you need to be able, like Italian, to industrialize an idea and make this product beautiful, high quality, durable, good looking, but also industrialized. And coming from a family of entrepreneurs, of course, they've always been like this. I was an artist and they was an entrepreneur. So you need to bring back. It's very important, this aspect.
It's a good perspective. Really good. Like that.
So insightful. As a consumer and as a designer, I totally agree with both the facts. And I think I would really love to know the history of any product, how it was made in this part, the sole was made here, the laces were assembled here. I think that's really interesting to know. This also leads to the idea of transparency, how brands can be more transparent, and also sustainability, because we all talk about sustainability, but how many brands are really sustainable? They say every brand must have in their About Us section that they are sustainable, but how do I trust them? What do you think? How are brands changing this strategy? How are they communicating better to make people trust them more?
Again, talking as we were discussing before, one thing is the fashion, big companies, the corporate, which nowadays most of them have a ESG department taking care and implementing new processes to get adapted to this demand of the market of the current situation. Another thing, by my experience working with so many emerging designers, I see that the new designers, for example, you are interested, as you mentioned, about knowing the whole process because you work in the field. Everybody's curious. I see, like talking about Brazilian designers and artisans. Everybody's very curious. But I don't know how much, in general, the consumers are tending to spend more, knowing more. So these are different situations. And mostly people in general still as, okay, there is the trend of the quite luxury, but people in general, there is this trust on labels that if they don't know much, they go to labels because it's easier rather than deciding and have a personal style on deciding on buying something strange and new. But going back about the sustainability, what I see is most of the emerging designers, as they are younger, they already born in this movement of sustainability. So they start their brands already with a sustainable mindset, trying to pay fair wages and trying to find good materials. So in general, they have this mentality. It's not that they follow 100% because they don't have budget, because it's expensive to be sustainable. And to be honest, fashion will never be 100% sustainable because it's business and we consume more than we need, and it's the business. But the emerging designers, they are starting with a sustainable mindset, while the big companies or the older companies like fashion business, not the yarns and other things, they are adapting to get into this. But they is a work in progress. I think there is a lot of space to grow and develop.
There's a lot to do. This is true. I do agree. So it's first of all, it's not clear what is sustainability, and which is the angle you consider more important or not. I think this is absolutely, because if you think about circularity, you go back on the day where we have very few fashion brands, people was buying less, was using the same coat for 10 winters, even more. So that time it was circular because it was just restructuring the things, it was reusing, it was passing by sister to sister. So it was already something on the mindset. So what is sustainable? It's sustainable that you want to go to do shopping therapy, and then you want to buy online what else you want to change this and this and that, and you pretend also to spend nothing. So that's the reason I don't want to judge any brand, even the most bigger, because at the moment, consumer really don't buy sustainable. Ask to every buyers, I don't know how many of you are buyers or owner of multi-brand store, and if we ask how much sustainable your consumer buy, they ask for natural fiber. They ask someone they don't want to have leather. Someone that don't want to have fur, because even those are trends. But they don't know they're wearing plastic. And they don't breathe. Okay? So, and they buy a beautiful no leather product, which is 100% polyurethane, and they don't know what's going on in their shoes, in their feet, and they don't breathe. And then they go to do meditation, yoga therapy, and this and that. I'm super skeptical for this, because it's sometimes when you talk, you have to know what it is. For example, when you wear a sneaker, you leave with no connection with the floor, with the art. Can you imagine one day you wear sneaker? What's going on in the night? So your body has to get it out, has to breathe, has to touch something, has to touch water, has to touch a tree, has to breathe. Because for all day, your energy was going up and down, up and down. There are no places, no way to get out. It's important. And we live with phone, we live with everything. So this is a real natural concept. But we live also a normal life. I am not a sustainable person. I'm using an intercontinental flight every week. So my carbon footprint is not really good. So if you judge me about that, so can you imagine this? But what I can say, that thanks to this movement of at least be aware about something, now every brand has to think and has to say, okay, I did this, 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 and this. And I made this in this way and this in that way. So at least people are telling you the truth, more or less.
You did so well. Like, it was said so.
Thank you
so much. Thank you so much for your time. I think it was such an interactive discussion. And maybe we need to do a part 2 soon.